Hello, church. I've really just been bummed out lately, and I just wanted to share that with you. I've been really discouraged, and just kind of things aren't going my way, and I feel like a modern day sad sack. And I just wanted to share that with you. Feelings of being let down, disappointed. Have you been disappointed? Disappointed in the past few weeks, maybe the past few months? You know, and that's okay. We're working hard towards something, or we're looking for a promotion and we're looked over. We just want a prize, a reward, or even some simple kudos. Someone to notice what we've done. And when those things don't happen, we get disappointed. You know, disappointment is okay. It's a feeling that we have often, perhaps. But the thought of being disappointed to the point where I'm physically hurting, or in a point where spiritually I'm so down that I can't get up. What do we do in those situations? I'll tell you, the Bible is full of people who were absolutely disappointed. I think of Sarah and Hannah and Elizabeth, who were childless, some for a long time. I certainly think of Job, right, who was in complete despair. He was rejected by his friends. His wife didn't want anything to do with him. And he had feelings that same kind of a way of rejection by his God. Lots of disappointment in Job's life. I think of our seniors. You think of our seniors in high school. We have one in our household, and he's dealing with it pretty good. Mom and dad, on the other hand, not so good. But think of their time. Parties canceled, SATs disregarded, graduations postponed, get-togethers, can't get together anymore. Sports, they're gone. People that and friends that you've had, you may not see again, ever, and you just can't hang out anymore. That's tough times for seniors. We really need to pray for them. But the toughest thing is we're told, you know, all the striving that you've done, we're just going to check it off now. You really don't even have to go back to class or study. And they're looking forward to the next step. How discouraging, how disappointing that is. You know, when I look at that, I think of Moses. Moses was a guy who was disappointed often. Here was a guy who was born into privilege. Shouldn't have been. He was a Jew, and he was, I remember he was thrown out into the Nile River and picked up and adopted into Pharaoh's family. But through that, he said, I'm a Jew first, and his people rejected him. Rejected him to the point where he wandered in the desert. And God got a hold of him years later and said, I want you to go back and tell my people that you are the deliverer. And he did. And he went before Pharaoh and said, I want you to let my people go. And Pharaoh rejected him. Finally, we hear these words from Moses in Exodus 5. He says, O Lord, why have you done this? You have brought trouble on these people, and you have not rescued your people at all. Man, Moses felt like God was rejecting him finally. Well, God told Moses, I will do this. It's not about you, Moses. I'll fulfill this. Kind of just let me do my thing and watch and see. But just like Moses, we get times of disappointment, and it happens for a couple reasons. When we rely on people and we put our hearts on people, and we hope in our circumstance, and that is the thing that's going to fulfill us. That's where we find disappointment. You know, a trip canceled, a job promotion we didn't get, being noticed by our peers. Folks, if we put too much of our hearts with people or on our circumstances, it'll often lead to discouragement and disappointment, and perhaps at a place where we don't want to go, so low where we can't get back up. I think our God brings us to those points, testing us perhaps, to have us reach out to this God who's standing in wait and wants us to run to him in our discouragement. That's what Moses did. He ran to God and said, God, what's the deal here? And God was there. Folks, during our time, my hope is that, and my hope too for me, is that I will turn to God during these discouraging times. I won't run to something else that'll satisfy me. Where a lot of the world wants to run to something to clear up that void, to make them feel better, or to satisfy the need that they have because they're so bummed out. Folks, for Christians, we have the answer. Let's run to God, and he will give us the satisfaction that we need to continue. Isn't that a great thought? I appreciate it, church. Thanks for joining us.